Welcome back to Wichita's Biz That Is with our guest today, Brian Powrs. And we were talking about some of the challenges facing people who are in things like home health care. But let's talk more generally now about small business. What's happening there? That's always been kind of an engine in the United States, an innovator, a place where new ideas came from. Tell me what your perception is on what's happening with small business.
Well, I think small business is still alive and well. There are challenges to starting a business. There are always entry barriers. A large barrier that has sprung up is, again, the Affordable Care Act. It really limiting how many employees a small business can have before penalties or compliance requirements kick in. I think there will always be people like me who have ideas, who see a better way to do things, who can provide services in a market better than a competitor, cheaper, faster, better quality. There are always ways. We've seen that with the technological adaptations in every industry. I really think small business, independent business, drives our economy. I think it's 90-some% of all businesses in this country are small independent businesses.
And particularly in Kansas, it's even higher percentage.
We are the engine that drives our economy. We create the jobs. We don't start a business saying, I'm going to employ other people. We start a business and find a need, fill that need, and expand, and then hire other people. We provide employment, a lot of employment. We pay all the taxes for our roads, our schools. Business is the driver of our economy. Without business, we have no government.
I think what people don't understand is that as we make things more complex, as we make the government regulations, tax regs, and all that more complex, that's something larger business can deal with more easily.
Definitely.
They have,
yes.
They have accountants, they have lawyers, they have all these people to deal with this, including lobbyists in D.C.
Yes.
For the smaller business, that's tougher. There is data from the U.S. Department of Labor, not from some right-wing think tank, that says the average cost per employee is 38% higher for small business.
And that sounds about right.
For the tax part, it's double. Mm-hmm. And for environmental regulations, it's more than 3 times as costly for a small business.
That's true. And I think as a small business person, we start out by ourselves or one other person, 1 or 2 people. We have to wear all the hats. We have to learn all the regulations. We can't make a mistake. I once got a call from a competitor in this state asking me who called me and told me that I needed to do all these things in order to comply with all the regulations applying to my business. And because she had an office full of auditors and surveyors and people who found out she wasn't doing things the right way. And I said, well, nobody called me and told me that. It's up to the individual business owner to seek out all the aspects of that business, including the regulations, the taxes, any requirements of beginning in any industry. It's up to that individual to do the research, to do the market research, to use the appropriate business approach.
Well, this is one of the things I've been trying to get across to government officials for a long time, and I think you find local and state usually more willing to listen.
Definitely, and from time to time, our local and state representatives call me and ask me my opinion, or what do you think about this? We're thinking about implementing this law or changing this rule. How would that affect your business? You don't know how much of that is appreciated. I think too often, and I think at a federal level this happens, our legislators become insulated and don't hear or see the real problems anymore. I think we're, at a local level, our city and county people are phenomenal in helping small business, independent business. At a state level, we're asked for input.
Well, I think that the thing we have to concern ourselves with long term is that if you make things so complex, if you make tax law so complex, and you drive it more toward all national businesses in home building or home healthcare, whatever, that has a negative effect on the country as a whole. Because the only people who can play the game are the ones who are big enough to have the
That's true.
the
I think the regulations
lobbyist in D.C.
help to keep a level playing field, and that's all any business person has ever asked for, is just a level playing field. The rules shouldn't give advantage to one business or another.
Right. Well, one of the things we also talk to local folks about is clarity.
Yes.
Just make things clear. The more complicated it is, the harder it is on a smaller organization. Because you got this one person who's trying to do all these different things.
That's true.
And when they walk in the door in the morning, the first thing they don't want to think about, well, what regulation do I have to deal with? Yesterday, I filled out, I'm just a nonprofit, filled out 5 different reports
Yes.
for the state.
Yes.
5. And I don't think we're big enough to really warrant that much attention.
Well, my advice when I'm asked by people wanting to start a business, and in my role as chairman for the Wichita Independent Business Association, I'm asked, and what should we do? My advice is to make sure you have enough capital to run for a year or two, enough capital to retain an attorney and an accountant, a tax advisor, those people who will help you comply with the rules and regulations applicable to your industries. Without that, you're running blind, and it's no way to run a business, and it's almost destined for failure.
But you're still an optimist. You still would love, you still like the fun of starting the business.
Well, we have to be, don't we? Well, what's the alternative? I am optimistic. I believe in this country. I've been very fortunate in my life. I had periods of homelessness, and look at me. I've been very fortunate in business and in life with my family, meeting individuals like yourself and being part of the associations, the business associations here in Wichita. I've been very fortunate, and
yeah, Brian,
I have to
but you've also made it happen.
Well, thank you, sir.
And we thank you. Thank you all for joining us for, again, another session of Wichita's Biz That Is, and thanks to Brian Powrs.